is the heart and soul of our sport, where these players strive to become who they're truly meant to be.
No more break, it's time for action. Welcome to Overwatch Contenders. Hello everybody, welcome back. We're here for another match. It's going to be a good one. As we said before going into this break, we're looking forward to seeing both WISP and Amplify go head to head. I'm Rich Red, and this is Kenobi, and we're going to be bringing you the action, friends.
There's not more to... Okay, I was like...
No.
I was like, okay, there's usually a preamble after that, and I was like, oh,
I
okay.
saw the predictions, and I was like, you know what, I'm just... Ooh, predictions. Ooh, it was just one or two.
All right, well, I mean, so going into this one, I mean, this is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, chats... get your predictions, 1 for WISP, 2 for Amplify here. I think they were correct in the last matchup. But going into this one, it'll be interesting because these are two, middle of the table, towards the top side of the standings between WISP and between Amplify, who have kind of ramped up a little bit throughout the back end of this tournament. And we can take a look at the roster starting things off. WISP coming in with Rocket and with Chopper as that... I feel like they've been together for, years as this DPS
the dynamic duo.
The synergy that they have is something that's really apparent whenever they play together. Riker has been really fantastic as well as a Winston player, being able to swap in with Icy sometimes depending on what the composition is needed. But this WISP team has gotten, they're not as, I think, dominant obviously as what they were in Spring Series, where it was a team who was first seed by a significant margin. They busted out a little bit in playoffs, but I think that as long as you're keeping this core of Chopper and Rocket, I think you always have a chance, especially in metas where Tracer is incredibly important. They also have Sunjun on the roster, who is kind of waiting in the wings if needed. But this Swift team starting to make themselves kind of looking like a dark horse. And speaking of dark horses, I think Amplify is another team that can kind of fit that role.
And with this roster and the names that we've seen and their performance, I know the last time we got to see them was specifically against Worldwide, where they fought like hell to try and get that reverse sweep, unfortunately coming up short. So now they're still in a position to make sure that they can solidify this top 8 and, with these names. And specifically, as we do talk about Doge, or AKA full real translation, my name is Dog. They're looking to really bring the pain against Riker.
But since they kind of had that one moment where they lost to Worldwide, and Worldwide, is one of those teams who's towards the only win that Worldwide has is against this Amplify team. Amplify was looking pretty dire. They had a really tough strength of schedule at the start. I think they had 0-3 Splash, then they played Pip, so all of these teams that were really high in the table. But since that one matchup against Worldwide, where they almost got the reverse sweep and then just fell a little bit short, they 3-0'd Rift. Then they 3-0'd Timeless, a team who was looking really good at the time. They 3-1 Dragon Dance, and they're coming off a 3-0 win over Strix. So, this team, since that one, blunder that they had against Worldwide, has really stepped up to the plate and are starting to gain some momentum going forward in this group stages, which I think is something that teams are going to have to be very careful about, going up against a team who could have been seen earlier in the group stages as one of the weaker teams.
Yeah, they've really aligned themselves, as we're going to be entering into our first map, which is going to be Busan for Control. And again, the variation when it goes round to round is going to be interesting to see compositionally what we have brought to the table here, especially when we get to that downtown area where there is a lot of that high verticality that you can play, the couple of different angles that you work through. So I'm just overall excited because I personally really enjoy of the Control maps this one, just because of the versatility that you can really bring to a lot of these different Control maps.
Yeah, Mecha Base is very Rush style, and then you have those more open maps. So I think this is, again, whenever we have maps like this to start off, it's good kind of indication of what the rest of the map will look like, or what the rest of the series will look like. It is a bit catch-22 though, because of the fact that there are some maps where it's just hey, we're playing this composition no matter what, and sometimes this is a map where it's a player who may not be as great as Ramatra is going to be playing Ramatra just because of the necessity of it. So that is something to keep in mind as we watch control maps like this. But I think that matchup between the tanks, between Doge and between Riker, is going to be something to keep an eye on, because Riker, last time we saw him against a very, very good 0-3 Splash team, was really taking it to Infected on the wins. That was something I really noticed. So having that in this first matchup is going to be something that I think Amplify is going to have to, and Doge specifically, is going to have to deal with.
Yeah, he'll be someone to definitely keep a watchful eye of, as we do have these last few moments before predictions do close. Make sure that you get those in so we can see exactly what that percentage breakdown is. And if WISP is going to seem to have the upper hand again here, now that we've been able to see them do quite a bit of work against O3 and other competitors. And entering now first onto Sanctuary, we're going to see what the composition looks like and a couple of interesting hover-overs, but we'll give them just enough time as we do see them come out the gate.
And PGE on the Sojourn is something that throughout the series we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on.
Yeah.
When Amplify was, last time we saw them on our broadcast, was like playing worldwide, even from the interview we heard that, yeah, sometimes PGE is just going to 1v9 on Sojourn, and something you have to be aware of. So,
and he killed it.
WISP is, WISP is going to also have to be incredibly aware of this happening because of the fact that PGE is so good on this hero and will pick it more often than not. But already at the gate, a little bit of an interesting choice coming out from WISP, the Hammond into the lineup, so trying to disrupt that backline and just really, with this dive, create a lot of chaos.
And Rocket already looking to compete against Tap. Doge, meanwhile, elsewhere, is getting very heavily aggressed on. Nice top-up, though, from both Buddy and Power as they cycle back to the drums. Contention now, initially, with Chopper repositioning back further, and with Doge going down, that's going to make it extremely challenging for Amplify to actually have a stable footing here, especially with the way that Riker's harassing, but nice sleep to at least buy some time and not get completely overwhelmed in the back line.
But I mean, you can see all the time when the health cards are just being pressured down so low from Amplify and WISP. I mean, with the crossfire that they have and the disruption as well with the Hammond, it makes it so hard for Amplify to gain their footing and find a way to get into these points unless PGE can find a sort of rail shot or if there's Tap with a one clip.
Now they maneuver towards the outskirts, just near the pagoda, looking for a nice Ravenous Vortex to potentially slow the back line, but nobody amongst the center. As Doge once again very heavily forced down. Nice Bionade across the way onto the supports to force them back. Volspawn actually denied for the moment. Tap not able to get a second pickup after Riker. And there's a counterplay from Rocket. PGE down, the one that we were really focusing on to have some major waves to counteract against the way that WISP is playing. Amplify actually doing quite a stellar job here to contest and swing this back with Doge and the Nano on the point, taking it and gaining some percentage.
Yeah, the Nano going to do a lot here. Riker just needs to get out of dodge and Amplify come back in. It was a very scary first couple of points, but really they did a good job of focusing when Riker went a little bit too aggressive, and they instantly shut him down. Tap did a great job of following Riker away to be able to get and secure that kill. But now Wisp can come back in with a couple of key ultimates. Bob's going to be one that's very important. There's also going to be a nano boost that they can throw onto Rocket to create a lot of chaos in that backline.
Yep, you can see instantly onto the point, starting to gain presence. It's going to force back Amplify to contest this. Sleep for the moment, at least going to nullify the extra damage that comes in specifically from Chopper. As Rocket plays behind the wall, he's going to look to dive in shortly, but the Annihilation becomes active, zoning out multiple members. Nice sleep for the moment, but they're still all within range, so it gives the extra duration. Chopper gets 2 kills onto both PGE and Tap, so that removes all the damage outside of the Annihilation. So once this falls, there's no real way to combat back against Wisp.
And I mean, I was thinking that Neb was going to throw that nano onto the Tracer, but he just gives it over to Chopper, who is like, okay, I have high ground for free. There's not really anything that's going to contest me, and gets 2 quick ones that completely turns that fight on its head for Wisp. And now, again, Wisp have a great control of these sightlines to work with here. And for Amplify, especially now moving PGE onto this Sombra, they have to really make a decision like who they want to go after, because Chopper doesn't really have anything contesting him right here on this high ground, right? That's going to be one of the things, is that Chopper and Neb are going to be really, really safe back here. It's up to Amplify to win potentially the frontline battle more so than anything.
And Rocket tosses the pulse bomb, doesn't land off the supports, unfortunately, with the reposition. Extreme focus, but 2 already taken down. Amplify has been able to take the numbers advantage out the gate early. They've not really needed to focus Chopper because they removed the front line in and of itself, as Doge just plays forward, guarantees the space, and now looks for potentially that final fight territory with Wisp on the attack.
And I think that was really smart as well from Amplify, where they just focus on down the Hammond, because with Sombra, with Tracer, and with like all of the upfront damage that Amplify has, the Hammond's just going to get absolutely annihilated through that. But Rocket actually comes in and one clips the Brigitte. That's disastrous for Amplify.
And now Chopper's going to have a free position to just pump out this damage, because at this point, you can see that Rocket is going to play with the flank, and Tap can't quite get to him. Has to regroup with the rest of the team in the backside to give coverage. So WISP is going to be able to take this back. Tap getting completely knocked about with the reposition from Riker, and they are just looking to finalize the last couple that remain on this position so that they can take this first round.
Yeah, with that Nano, that should be able to secure it, and not there's a way back in for Amplify. There is not, and WISP with a great one clip coming in from Rocket there, just on the Brigitte, completely annihilating that fight before it could even start, especially because it's the Brigitte of all things, which is so adept at dealing with Hammonds, right? Whip shot against Hammonds, stopping all that momentum. It just lets Rocket and Riker play a lot more with the space that's given to them with that, as we see the chat predictions. 63% in favor of Amplify, which I don't blame them, or in favor of WISP. I don't blame them for that, but I think this is probably going to end up being a little bit closer than this chat prediction would dictate.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is going to be a lot closer because of just the way that Amplify is able to kind of, really find the advantages once they start getting in their stride. Going against WISP right now, you can see that there is a little bit of dominance, just able to really play to their strengths. But if Amplify can find a couple of early takedowns here and eliminate that backline, and also with what PGE can do potentially on this Widowmaker, could really be able to get this round in their control.
I like this rotation already, though, from WISP, kind of using this area by the Mega Pack, not really giving angles for PGE to work with. But Chopper is left by themselves in the backline and gets one clipped by the Hammond. So Doge starting things off really strong here.
And as the objective becomes active, Amplify going to maneuver down below, but needing to keep a very watchful eye of where PGE is and the sightlines that can be obtained. Riker playing aggressively on this Junker Queen, looking for the Jagged Blade. The Carnage actually going to pull them into it. Great Suzu to come through and nullify that crowd control onto Riker, but PGE taking down Magic 8-Ball is going to be really difficult. You only have Neb to keep this team alive and topped up. It's actually WISP that still managed to get this point despite Amplify getting the early advantage over Chopper and forcing the swap onto the Sombra.
I mean, the thing is that WISP have a lot of sustainability, so if Amplify aren't able to find kills quickly and effectively, they're not going to be able to match the sustainability that WISP has, especially with the Junker Queen like this, as Power Boost is going to get pulse bombed there, down, and that means that I don't think there's a way in for Amplify here.
Nope. WISP still continuing to climb in percentage, already a third of the way there, and can play really calm, cool, and collective as they start getting these ultimates online.
And you can see PGE has kind of opted to go over to the Sojourn. The Widowmaker not really going to work, especially with WISP just turtling on point. You're not going to get any good sightlines to work with in that scenario, so switching over to something a little bit better. And also the Hammond's not going to be here either, so just completely switching things up for Amplify, who are already down a significant amount of percent off of just a singular fight.
And we'll see if they're able to recover now that there's only 40% remaining for WISP to be able to conclude this. Nano Boost active onto Doge moving forward. There is the Kitsune Rush from Neb in the back, looking to keep their distance from Doge. They're allowing the point to swap for now because they've played the extensive game away from the point, and despite them being spread and looking for those picks, it's actually going to be Amplified coming in very heavily.
Yeah, WISP tried to go really aggressive there, using that Kitsune Rush aggressively, but I think they would have been better served probably just staying towards that point and just taking up as much percentage as they can and making Amplify play into them more so than anything else. Luckily, WISP still have 4 ultimates in their bank to match what Amplify is going to have, so it's not too bad in terms of the macro losses here.
Get to swap it back in the flank. You can see they're going to have to cycle near. PGE actually gets a pickup onto Neb. That's not what you want to see. As Magic 8-Ball now takes down PGE, it's a 1-for-1 trade. WISP taking the advantage. Pulse Bomb lands, and this is WISP. Patience is a virtue. They find the moment to execute onto Amplify, and they even force out the Annihilation on this.
Yeah, I mean, that Annihilation is one that I think Doge is going to want to have back for this next fight, but I mean, potentially you could have turned it if you had had enough health bars low enough, but one thing about WISP that I love is just watching Rocket play Tracer. Rocket's Tracer, every time we get a POV, just feels like a treat. That stick, the 180, just directly onto the back of the Brigitte during rally, completely ends the rally from getting any value, and with 86% ticking upwards, this is last fight chance for Amplify.
EMP lands, instantly pops. Power boost. Both have lost the support, but PGE is online right now. Almost gets the third with the overclock. They've been able to cycle down below, swap this position over, But it's still, again, Wisp having another attempt to get back into this as they get the 5 back online.
And with the hacked Mega pack, Riker's actually going to be able to come back into this one. Immortality Field has been used already from Buddy, who was taken down incredibly low, and Wisp are just going to go back to this point and take it back.
Yeah, and Doge has to swap to the Reinhardt to make sure that they can charge to get here more quickly for this close brawl. As the shield blocks the incoming damage and maneuvers down below, there's a boop and a knockback onto Power Boost. The hack still comes in. There's no way they can get out of this. And Riker finds a Carnage onto tap. So they have complete control of this. And it just all of a sudden dissolves in front of them with an entire team kill as Wisp takes this first map.
Wisp looking very clean on this first map, especially the best thing about this is I think they looked really clean on 2 different types of compositions, right? Chopper, going over to his signature Ashe, being able to really pop off on that in Sanctuary, but then moving over to something like the Sombra, offering a little bit more of a double flanker look as we're going to see play the game from Rocket. I mean, again, love watching Rocket play this hero to such a high level. You can argue one of the best tracers, if not the best tracer that we have in the region. So Wisp starting things out strong again with the first map.
And as you can see, the initial map was definitely, I would say, a little bit more well played by Amplified, especially utilizing the Wrecking Ball. Here in the second map, really didn't yield as much value. The swap had to come in. The Ramattra at this point, when you're playing behind the 8 ball and with Wisp already dominating on the position, it really was only that one, I guess, misplay with them going away from the Kitsune rush, going for the rush, and then once they were able to say, you know what, let's cut our losses, let's get back into this, they stabilize once again, and then go right into their well-thought-out, slow, methodical play that can just instantly take this back.
Yeah, it did feel a little bit like compositional mismatch at the start, right? Because they bring out this like Widowmaker composition with the Hammond, and to Wisp's credit, they do the exact thing you need to do, where they just go directly onto point. There's no sight lines. Hammond's not really going to get a lot of value, like kind of making those engagements on the point like that. So I think that was really heads-up play and good compositional understanding from Wisp about how to just outmaneuver your opponent in a situation like that. Even though that we saw Amplify got the first pick on Chopper, but Wisp were very calm, cool, and collected. They said we can still just get to point. It hasn't unlocked yet. So I think that's really good composure from Wisp to be able to kind of take that loss, but still just, take an advantage somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's something I've really admired from Wisp. But I think something, even though they've had their leaps and bounds and their like peaks and valleys over the course of what we've seen them play, that's always been kind of like the essence for them, is that they do like to take those moments to really evaluate the situation and not allow themselves to kind of be caught up in the intensity of a moment where they can say, let's give a little ground to gain a little more. And that's really been shown here most recently, as we do have confirmation of our next map, which is going to be Numbani. Once again, we get to see for our hybrid map. And again, we look to the strengths that we've talked about already earlier in the prior match. The Winston selections, how are they going to elevate themselves to be able to counteract against that? And who is going to really be playing the better monkey comp?
Yeah, I mean, Winston really the most important thing here, as we do have a sub coming in for Wisp. Sunjun is going to be back in to this lineup, so someone who I talked about a little bit before before we started the series, coming into play, some of those more projectile-esque DPS that like Chopper I think is more of a, I'd say, true hit scan more so than anything else, but this offers the ability for this team to play like Rocket on Tracer, and then Sunjun can be on something like, an Echo, I think is what we're probably going to be seeing here. Genji's not a terrible pick either, but this adds a little bit more flexibility for the projectile pool on a map like this, where I think you usually do need that like secondary projectile player. Yeah,
I mean, because we could have seen Chopper stay in, because the Ashe does still, sometimes bring value, at least when we talk about, a lot of different varieties in Numbani. But when Rocket and Sunjun are on the same map together, it gives so much variety between the two of them. They have such a wider range of options, I think, in some of these occasions, where they can really have that conversation of like, who's going to do what? Do you want to do this? No, we're going to adjust it a little bit. Let's change this, because we saw that last time we had Wisp on broadcast going against O3. Between the two of them, they were so fluid and liquid between the adjustments that really were able to overwhelm their opponent because of that hero depth.
It also seems like they work together really well, which is cool, because I think that one of the things that we saw in the highlight package was kind of like the coordination between Chopper and between Rocket, like with the Sombra and with the Tracer just instantly killing power boost on that Lucio, right? Just instantly getting that. That's like something that's really a good indication of like the synergy you have. But like even when Sunjun comes into the roster, I don't really see like too much of a dip in that between the DPS. They seem like they're still working together extremely well. And I think going into this matchup, it's something that you're going to still need because of the fact that like Echo and Tracer are usually really important on a map like this. And, you know, you've got one of the best Tracers in NA, in Rocket. Also, if you want to put like Rocket onto something else, Sunjun is incredibly capable of playing a Tracer in his own right.
Yeah, we've seen it on 2 separate occasions that he played the Tracer where we were still quite mesmerized at the effectiveness that it can have, allowing that shift in composition to take elsewhere with, I believe it was Sombra, if I'm not mistaken, that they did swap the roles between the two where they were able to still yield a very proficient value. As we are now going to be entering into this map to see what exactly we get out the gate for the initial engagement between these two. And overall, I mean, Amplified with the way that we're going to have Sunjun come in specifically for this composition, I think this is a tall task for Amplify.
I think it is too, but I think the other thing about this Amplified team that is I think they do need like a little bit of time to warm up, it feels like, where it's like last time we saw them against Worldwide, those first 2 maps looked like they were going to get 3-0'd, right?
Yeah.
Like they did not look like they really had their legs under them. And then like PGE started to really step up to the plate. TAP also did as well, so it feels like a team that needs like just a little bit of time to like warm up, and this is a good map, especially a map pick that they have where they can start to really bring it back as much as possible.
I honestly feel that one of those shirts we would see Uber wear. Like I was just looking at the details on him and the colors, I'm like, I could definitely see Uber wearing one of those. The shoes not so much, but the shirt's for sure. So we're going to be entering in now onto this. Again, Wisp on the attacking side first, Amplify on the defense. And for at least the defensive side, we can see that they are going to bring Tap in on this Echo, which has been a lot more rising to power, but nothing like the Mercy that we got to see in our previous match.
Yeah, I don't think that felt kind of like just a specific thing to that team and how they were going to operate that offense. But here on the offense, it looks like it actually is going to be Rocket on that Echo. So Sunjun is going to be operating that Tracer. And again, I think the best thing about this is that I don't really feel like you lose too much as Tap has been caught completely in no man's land. I mean, that was very aggressive. The DPS of Amplify are super aggressive in this positioning, and they've lost Tap already, and now Wisp are going to just go to the point and start taking all the space away.
Yeah, he's definitely questioning the decision that was made. That's already 1 tick, soon to be the 2nd. Amplify is getting cut down so quickly here, and this is now at this point just a moment for Amplify to try and come back in to stall as much as they can, but it's too risky for them and they have to just give up the point.
Yeah, I mean, I get the idea of like trying to catch your opponent off guard to some extent, especially with like Tracer and Echo where you have that assassination potential, but you need to be really sure that you can secure those kills, or at least trade. Like if they had traded at least like 1 for 1, I'm like much more okay with that, but the fact that they didn't secure any kills makes that a complete gamble that they lost right there. So, I mean, sometimes happens in Overwatch, but now they've given a very significant time bank over to Wisp. 5.5 minutes to start working through second point here. Luckily, Amplify have their DPS ultimates online relatively soon, but Wisp have their own, so they're totally fine with that trade.
Yeah, Sunjun and Rocket gonna look to commit this. Rocket specifically, there's the pulse bomb as well. Nice recovery though from Amplify, not allowing either of those to get nearly as much value as they could have, and they eliminate Neb in the chaos of it all. And now they can anchor on this corner and continue to bring this massive time bank down.
Yeah, that was really clutch from PGE. Specifically, like, the one target that was the perfect target for that pulse bomb that PGE had was the Ana, because Neb had his nano significantly quicker than Buddy did. Now they're matched a little bit in this next fight, because if that nano comes out in that other fight, there's a potential that it's just too overwhelming for Wisp to deal with.
Tap getting boosted inside of the barrier, so there's cover fire for the moment. And you can see that both Doge and Tap work wonders in this close room, and now continue to hold on to it. Staggering out Wisp is going to be the real challenge for them. They need to just wait for a solid regroup with Rocket back into the mix of it. Duel up top for the Winstons for now, but at this point, Doge is just going to fall back.
Yeah, I think they're going to have the nano from Neb here, probably throw that onto one of the DPS, either the Tracer or the Echo, just to get that assassination potential into that backline. But here comes Doge. Oh, it's nicely played. Neb is so low.
Gets knocked back into the spawn and gains the sleep to deny the extra swing. So Doge has to abandon ship now, give space, and Wisp is able to break away from that corner.
And only having to use the Pulse Bomb in the rally for that one, so they keep both their sustain ultimates with the Nano and with this Primal Rage. It's going to be great for just disrupting that backline. Specifically, Buddy on that Ana has to be incredibly careful and hit the sleep onto Riker, or Riker is just going to juggle him into Kingdom Come.
Yep. Now dropping down below, making sure to keep them at bay to generate additional distance. Rally is active. The shield bash doesn't come in to get the stun onto Riker, so they just maneuver up top once again, taking the high ground position. Sticky bombs do quite a bit, but still holstering this Primal Rage until absolutely necessary, and with the Bionade landed, that is for sure the green button. The juggle continues in the corner. No health pack for you. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get the full juggle and is able to recover with a defensive nade. But as we cycle back, visibly back onto Rocket, Neb and both of them are really working against the way that Tap has been playing aggressively, and Sunjun getting the pulse bomb onto Buddy guarantees that there's no way that they can recover.
Yeah, Riker might not have secured the kill, but just the amount of zoning potential coming in there was insane. Just taking Buddy completely out of the fight, taking the Brig out of the fight as well, because Power Boost had to just sit there and continuously help and pack Yana in that situation. So it's just a snowball continuing for Wisp here. 4 minutes about in their bank to continuously move forward. Luckily, there is going to be a nano boost from Buddy to be able to stop the bleeding a little bit here, but Rocket with the duplicate could kind of turn that completely around if they can weather the storm of the nano.
Ooh, that's a lot of damage incoming onto Doge. On entry, basically being deleted the second they touch the ground. But there is at least a counterplay from Tap, denying Rocket from getting the duplicate to keep this momentum forward, but needs to still be very cautious with 3 minutes and 20 to go.
Be careful here. See, they're just dueling and posturing with each other. Nano available for Nep now. We'll see where this ends up going into the backline. Sunjun gets a pulse bomb onto Buddy.
Yep, second time around we've seen it. Doge with the Primal Rage active, hit by the bio, and now you've got the raid boss that is Magic 8-Ball aggressing forward, but no one's really close enough for them to gain any additional value with the damage or potentially even a whip shot to force them back. 3 minutes now to go. Last few meters remaining. Rocket instantly takes down PGE, who was looking to be that contention on the payload, so you have to have Doge hop back into this. No sort of emergency with the Primal Rage since it was used in the previous fight. Wisp now completely overtaking this Tap, looking to gain that Primal Rage, but can't quite gain it fast enough in the duplicate, so they are now falling one by one. Wisp dominating now with 2 minutes and 28 seconds on the clock, taking the swap of sides.
And we saw a lot of aggression from Amplify there, and like very high tempo. I would say like kind of like, I don't want to say coin flippy, but like there was a lot of gambles that I think Amplify made here that just unfortunately didn't pay off, right? They could have gone either way, where it's like, I like the idea of just sending Tap in, being very aggressive in a lot of these moments, but sometimes it didn't pay off, especially after first point, right? That first point attack where they went super duper aggressive. Like, I don't see a lot of teams play in that area because it's just so easy to secure those kills. And then from there, like, Amplify won a couple of fights, but it felt like just there wasn't really ever a way back in for Amplify to get a foothold after just Wisp took the inch that was given to them and took the mile.
I can definitely see the possibility of gaining value due to the fact of Amplify not maybe typically playing that type of style and catching Wisp off guard, but it goes back to the topic that you mentioned where you really didn't even get a trade out of it. You just instantly lost one player, so you're playing behind the 8-ball, and
you just gambled and lost.
Yeah,
and, I mean that's kind of it. I mean, if you take that gamble and you like end up getting, if he ends up getting a kill or like getting 2 kills off of that, Tap comes back in, probably has a lot of ult charge. So it was a gamble that they just took and they lost. But full credit to Wisp, I think, for like seeing that advantage and just being like, okay, well, we're just going to start running through the map, and they finish with 2.5 minutes, which is a fantastic time bank on a map like this. And Wisp, I mean, playing a little bit aggressive here, but this time having some cover a little bit with that shield from Riker before they go back out. So now, I mean, same composition for both these teams. Again, where these Echoes are going to be focusing is going to be something important for me. Like, are they going to be focusing on the tanks? Is there going to be more of an Echo battle? We'll have to see where a lot of the focus is from those assassination defensions.
Yeah, Tap continuing to take that elevated position for the sticky bombs onto Riker, who continues to play this corner. Long-range stickies onto the supports with a reposition, since there is a separation between both, and that is a big response coming in from Rocket, recognizing the movement from Tap and able to completely deny them any sort of additional value, because realistically, I feel like Tap was playing a little bit more reckless and not as cognizant of where Rocket was.
I think that was really well played from Rocket, though, all things considered, where Rocket really, I think, is playing more of a peel style, where it's like, if Tap is going to use all of his mobility and cooldowns to just try and kill this one person that I have faith is going to be able to live a little bit longer, then they're going to be just completely free for me to hit a bunch of stickies on, and that's exactly what happens. So I really like the decision-making from Rocket and from Riker there to be able to just be like, hey, if you're going to be this aggressive, Tap, we're going to punish you for it. And you can see how much it's rewarded Wisp already. Sunjun about to have a pulse bomb. Rocket significantly ahead of Tap in that duplicate, and Tap is down again.
Yep, you can see the couple of stickies land once again from Rocket, again being so reactive in understanding how much has been expended from Tap, and now they're going to isolate underneath here, where they do separate Doge, again recognizing that they need to get taken down back to the spawn, and already half the time bank is gone.
And I mean, it hasn't really felt like Amplify have found a way into this, as we're going to see Tap. I mean, this is really aggressive, though, from Tap. I mean, look where Tap is, and look where the supports are. Like, if Tap isn't securing that kill, there's no way Tap is being able to get any, like, there's no healing available to Tap. Like, Tap has to get that kill to be able to make that flank worth it, because the supports are just not in an area to heal him. They're out of LOS.
See now, once again, Rocket playing the high ground, waiting for the responsiveness, focusing beam onto Doge, and again, it's just this disjointed play. There's so much separation. Now they're going to have a duplicate where it's really not going to gain any value here. They've thrown that ultimate basically to the wayside to try and enter and step into the Winston play because Doge got picked up so early.
It just feels like they're a little bit lost here, and Amplify are trying to throw things at the wall and see what sticks here, whether it's like these aggressive plays from Tap on the flank or just like a little bit of miscommunication, because again, a lot of the time the supports just don't seem like they're in LOS, but that's a nice kill with the nano.
Yeah, big pick to come out, finally denying what Rocket has brought to the table, but Sunjun has been very pivotal in being able to recover on a lot of these fights. Has the pulse bomb bashed and knocked back 3 HP. Can't get away because the dart comes in from Buddy. And now, after relentless attempts, you finally have Amplify able to gain control with 320 to move into the streets phase.
And they're kind of just able to brute force their way through with basically using every ultimate that they had, without, you know, the duplicate and the pulse bomb that had been used a little bit earlier. But for Wisp, I mean, unfortunate that Rocket wasn't able to hit that duplicate in time to be able to just like negate some of the value coming in from the duplicated nanoed echo, but Sunjun hits another pulse bomb. I feel like every single time, either it's Rocket or it's Sunjun, whenever there's a pulse bomb, it's sticking onto someone.
Yeah, he's making sure that it's at least getting value on one target, and then even if it doesn't get the second target, they're low enough that there is the immediate follow-up, and it's just securing multiple kills. As we now see that they have been able to hold on to this corner, and this is another prime position that Wisp can deny Amplify from gaining any value.
Yeah, great position as well. And with Neb, I mean, Neb has been hitting a lot of these backboard antis that have been getting a lot of value, so Amplify need to be careful, especially in this enclosed area where antis can get a lot of value, because Wisp will just pounce onto it if they see this purpose.
EGE, oh my goodness. Really needs to be cognizant of all that incoming damage and their positioning, as you see them maneuver forward with the dive, double Winston play, Magic Mayfall, and Neb so vulnerable in the back. And that's going to give major headway as they cycle back to eliminate, as there were 4 monkeys right now on the field, and it is utter chaos. There's so much science going on right now, but Amplified finally able to take control.
It's like Overwatch before hero limits, just 4
Right.
Winstons continuously jockeying around with each other. But I mean, good. I think good dive from Amplify going after the Brigitte and the Ana specifically, knowing that Brigitte just won't have enough healing to be able to chew through everything in terms of double Winston and also an echo behind it. But really good job from Wisp to counter dive, and a great heavy stick, and then an anti onto Tap, who was nanoed. Sunjun gets another kill. This is just. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Sunjun, he's been killing it. Like, on this Tracer.
I think
again.
Sunjun has hit every single pulse so far onto at least someone, it feels
Yeah.
like. At least on this defense, every single pulse bomb is stuck. For sure.
Because now with only 60 seconds remaining, you can see the stats right there just about to surpass that 10k damage, as you can see right there. Oh my goodness, that's an instant force on the Primal Rage to get through it. Now with 50 seconds, PGE comes in with some vengeance, as we've already commented Sunjun repeatedly, as now they have the numbers advantage playing forward. 40 seconds for this home stretch to get into the final stage. WISP needs to be able to stabilize and come back into it so they can just close this out, but Amplify not yet done yet as they force back Sunjun.
Oh, Sunjun gets hit with the stickies. That means no pulse bomb available to this team, but throughout all this, Riker is just in the backline trying to juggle the Ana out of this entirely.
Ooh, the stickies getting low. Riker close enough to the supports that they can top them up. Bionade making this a little bit more challenging since they no longer have that Primal Rage as a failsafe. Now, there's only 5 seconds to go. The overtime will become active. Riker dives up top. Duplicate active, tap, double Winston once again as it goes to a double Ana. So it is 3 supports versus the double tank. Can they make it work? It's Wisp actually being able to flourish with the amount of healing available. The Pulse Bomb isn't able to land onto anyone. Sunjun goes down. The re-aggression from Riker to pick up the support line in the back. Power Boost is gone. Buddy is next in sight as Neb lands a Bionade before getting taken down themselves. Do they come back in time? Riker holding the point, competing against it alongside Sunjun. It is unfortunately not going to be enough. The focusing beam does the double damage and guarantees the checkpoint.
Whisper Amplify rather, are able to get another life, just barely at the end of that, being able to scrape together a win, but only a minute left. I mean, now it's about figuring out if they can finish it all and finish with time, because with Wisp having 2.5 minutes in their bank, if they don't finish with time, it's only drawable for Amplify.
Going to recover here. Amplify drawing back ever so slightly so that they can re-enter with a more favorable opportunity. PGE having that pulse bomb now. Will look for a stick. Doesn't land once again. Has not been able to land nearly as consistently as we've seen from Sunjun. Rocket boosted. Be able to get a lot of damage pressured out. If they can get tapped, that's key. The reposition, the body block, and they do still get the elimination. 38 seconds now. Amplify has to fall back and recover.
Yeah, now, I mean, there's no way they're going to complete with time at all for this Amplified team. They luckily do have a rally to work with. Tap has another duplicate and has been really getting a lot of value out of duplicating the Winston, but that's all they're going to be able to have, and Wisp have enough ultimates in their own bank to be able to PGE desperation swap over towards that Sojourn just to offer that one pick potential and comfort.
Sunjun gets picked up by the rail shot from the distance, tried to be stealthy underneath. The aggression forward from Wisp. Nobody's going to be able to get to the payload. It's really only Tap now with the duplicate to buy time. Magic Maple getting 2, though, makes this extremely difficult. It's a hope and a prayer now for Amplify. Tap's just like, somebody please come and help me. I'm all by myself and I have nowhere to go.
I mean, Doge was able to get a Primal Rage and is going to be back into this fight soon. Tap, though, gets obliterated by Rocket.
Yep, transitioning down below, attempting to elude the damage. Power Boost comes on the Lifeweaver just to show us that that could potentially be of value, but it won't. Actually, PGE gets a couple of rail shots here. They're playing in the corner. PGE, what is happening?
I mean, this is PG's, potential pick here. It's going to be able to bring them back in, but I just think it's not enough. That's going to be it. That's going to be a very close moment for PGE to bring that one back. Without healers, it's just so difficult to even make that one happen and bring it back. It was a good attempt, but it's going to be Wisp here with the 2-0.
It was like, what, 5 HP? Just chilling there behind the payload like, somebody help me, somebody help me. This was
funny though.
Yeah. Just coming in clutch. Didn't need the nano. This was the raid boss outright. I got my shield, I got my bash. And, okay, so since we have a little bit of the footage here right now, the ability for Wisp to just be like, all right, if you're gonna play this aggressively and this disjointed, we're just gonna exploit every weakness on multiple occasions. And losing that much time out the gate is where you start really feeling it in these later parts where it's most needed, especially on that last phase.
It was a bit frustrating too, because you saw a lot of times where there were some good dives from Amplify, right? Like they were coordinated when they would like send Doge and send Tap at the same time to kill the Brigitte in the back line. Like there were some good moments from them. It just felt like there was a lot more disjointedness on that first attack more so than anything else, right? The amount of time that it took them for them to get first really hindered them, because it was like, I think they got it with like 30 seconds left at the very end, and a lot of that was just by them brute forcing their way in with a bunch of ultimates. So I think from Amplify's perspective, it's back to the drawing board during this halftime, because they need to find a way to realistically get on the same page a little bit, because it has looked a little bit disjointed, and that's not something that, I mean, when we saw them against Worldwide, right, that was something that they also had like a little bit of trouble with in those first two maps, but then, you know, map 3 and map 4 came around, they looked a lot better, even in map 5 that they didn't end up winning, but they still looked a lot better. So I think that there is a possibility for this Amplify team to, after the halftime, you know, take a deep breath and come back in with a little bit more of that coordination play that we saw previously on broadcast.
And we'll see if they're able to pull through with these few moments, so don't go anywhere, friends, because we'll be back with the rest of the game in just a moment.
Oh, hello! Fancy meeting you here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife. For your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.
Hi, friends. We're back. We find ourselves now on a match point here for WISP, where they've been able to take both maps. And now we find ourselves going into Circuit Royal Kenobi, where we're looking to see some Sigma plays, I would hope, since that is the place that we get to see it most often. We talked a little bit about it when we were talking about with both previous teams, but now we're heading there for this series.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised if this isn't Sigma, because of the fact that it is the Circuit. I don't think we're going to do like what some of the APAC teams have done, where they just handshake that, hey, we're going to just play Winston on here, because we don't really want to play Sigma at all. We're more comfortable with our Winston play. But I think that this is going to be, especially with some of the subs that I can see coming in, This is definitely going to be the fact that we're going to be seeing Sigma on this map, and those long-range hit scans also going to be something that we have to be looking out for, because on a map like this, Widowmaker and Hanzo kind of reign supreme for the most part.
And because of that, I'm so looking at Chopper and PGE and how that's going to duel out between the two of them, and just what they're going to bring to the table. As we do have an adjustment here, and we can take a look at the WISP roster specifically. We're going to have Icy subbing in specifically, as we talked about. No surprise there with a Sigma selection, as you can see on screen. So really looking to step to the plate and see how they can compete against what Amplify has in store, because again, this is where Amplify has to turn the dial, as we saw already once against Worldwide. They're looking to do the same here against WISP.
Yeah, and I mean, also the fact that you have Rocket out of the roster, and it's actually going to be Chopper and Sunjun as a dynamic duo, which I think makes sense. You know, Sunjun can definitely probably play some sort of hit scan role. Chopper also on the Hanzo or on the Ashe, depending on what type of flavor that they want to be opting in for on a map like this. I think this fits definitely with their play style on WISP, which is something that I think not a lot of other teams can do in Contenders NA right now, where it's like they can have this kind of switch completely with like their DPS trio, or like with their tank line, where it's like this is like one of the perfect places to be for like this roster setup in particular. So I think that they're using their roster mobility roster depth effectively to go to a map like this on Kings Row, or Circuit Royale rather.
Yeah, and again, get a nice little variation somewhere along the lines here, and we've been able to see specifically Amplify play this quite well and really do a very decent job rotating Icy in and having just such a proficiency in the way that they play alongside this. And as we enter into this map again, we're looking to see if they can gain that same type of energy as we've seen before for them, because they've got a long haul to have 3 more maps to try and fight for. And that was still an exciting one when we got to map 5, round 3. So they've been able to go the distance.
Yeah, I mean, they brought it back a little bit, you know, go the distance Hercules style, but I think that, like, again, this is a matchup where I think Doge is like very talented on a lot of the main tanks. It'll be interesting to see how like the Sigma like is able to be played compared to like Icy, who is like very much a known off tank player more so than anything else. So that'll be a matchup that I'm interested in. But also, I mean, the matchup between the DPS just has to really come to the forefront here, especially on a map like this where it is just so important for those long range hit scans to really find value, because if you're not hitting your shots on Hanzo and Widowmaker, it's incredibly difficult to win maps like this. As forehead as that sound, you need to just hit your shots, but these are 2 heroes that literally rely on that more so than anything else in their kit.
It was so forehead sounding that I felt it from here. As we're going to see.
I don't get it.
I don't know. I was trying to make it work. Like forehead, like hit me. Like it was so forehead that I felt it. You know, we're gonna let that lie.
I need to stop using Zoomer terminology with you.
I just like to try and make it fine. Okay, you can definitely eradicate that from our conversation. Because most of the time, my boomer brain ain't gonna hit the Zoomer brain.
Yeah. I'm starting to figure out that I just can't do that anymore.
As we do see, there's the first shot coming out the gate. PGE on the defense completely nullifies Chopper, but Sunjun up top actually gets quite a bit of space here to take the high ground and is putting a lot of pressure onto the shield, but holy goodness, 1 HP and a dream to get out of there, and Power Boost says, friend, you ain't getting out.
And one of the things about this composition and like differentiation between the Sojourn and the Hanzo is that the Hanzo has that one-shot potential and can also help the sidelines a little bit with the Widowmaker, but Sunjun kind of needs to be relatively close to the action to get value, right? And you have to ramp up a little bit. You don't just have that instant one-shot potential. And you can see that's why Sunjun is trying to play these like off angles and farm up that rail to be able to find a one-shot potential.
Yeah, because we can see it on the POV where it was this focus onto Doge down below to generate that rail shot, but the shield was there to block most of the incoming damage, so it really isn't able to come nearly as fast so that they can utilize it against it. And now that they do get that intel as well from Tap, nice arrow firing onto Sunjun, and PGE cleaning up and ripping the head off of Magic Mateball.
And I think the other thing that the Hanzo brings to the table is shield break, which is making it a little bit more difficult for Icy to pass. PGE takes down Chopper, and right now, PGE is completely taking over this lobby. 4 final blows already, 5 elims, really strutting his stuff on this Widowmaker. Almost takes down Sunjun, and Wisp need to find a way to deal with this Widowmaker, or they're going to have a very quick Circuit Royale.
Yeah, they need to break this foundation that has been sturdily made. With 2 minutes now, already dwindling half the clock. Chopper looking for some interesting grapple shots to try and get the advantage, but it's really not being able to get maximum value because of this angle that they're playing. You can see that PGE and Tap are playing near the statue and also the shop down below, so they don't really have to play out as far. But when PGE wants to play forward, they get the shot and didn't even need to land the headshot because they had the amplification matrix.
And I mean, they're still able to trade one out for PGE. Sunjun, I was gonna lose it if Sunjun actually peeked that. I mean, PGE's hitting a lot of shots here, but the kills aren't coming through just yet. Needs to be very careful. Actually, I would consider that a little bit greedy from PGE.
Oh no, and the overclock breaks the brickling down underneath. The foundation falls and everything crumbles.
That's tragic too, because the defense was looking so good for them. You can see the amount of ultimates that they died with there, and they just first point given over just like that in the blink of an eye when it looked like Amplify really had that by the scruff of the neck. But I think PGE just feels a little bit too big for his britches there, and Mateball punishes him for it. Now it's Wisp who have control of the card, start moving it forward. Also sights from Chopper, which Amplify are going to have to respect here.
Yep, they absolutely need to. Playing further back, there's the Flux to land onto two.
Good
Is that going
accretion.
to force them forward to be able to get a sightline onto it? Dragon Strike down below, dividing for the moment. Sunjun needs to be cautious just in the tail end of the Dragon Strike, so they aren't going to get completely eliminated. And now they're topped up to push forward. Disruption shot, holding the corner so that they can continue to play up towards this high ground and keep an even playing field. You can just see in the back, it's consistently Power Boost jumping in the air to get those couple of shots and keep the team healthy, ready for this next engagement. Icy Discorded needs to be very cognizant of the incoming damage potentially from both Tap and PGE as they play across the street. PGE finds Magic Mayfall, gets the revenge from earlier, and now has to force back Wisp.
Without Maypal, it's going to be difficult for them to stay here if you're Wisp. You don't have that Discord Orb and you don't have that long-range damage, and now with Sunjun going down, it's just about getting out of dodge right here with as much and as winning members as you can. 2 minutes that's left. I mean, they're still fighting, which is... Tap getting a little bit too over-aggressive there.
Really was forced
forward. What is happening?
My, this is turning on a dime. You instantly had Tap go from being aggressive to the entire team being stomped and now overwhelmed that they're going to again lose another checkpoint.
I mean, this is again the same thing we saw a little bit back on Numbani, where it's like, if you're going to be that aggressive, you need to be very certain that you're going to be able to get kills there. And there, it just Amplify goes super aggressive and just completely falls apart because they aren't able to secure the kills that they thought they were going to get. They lose the gamble again. They lose second point, and now through third, I mean, this is just going to be Wisp trying to take as much of this point as potentially they can.
Nice stun for now. PGE coming online again. He's finding the shots necessary.
No one can hide.
But the infra is active for Chopper. Looking for some sights. Can't quite get it. Little dangerous to go into PGE. Really wants to hit that shot. Finally gets power boost midair. They deny the Flux.
Another accretion!
Oh my! Doge has got to be getting real on edge after both of those.
Yeah, I mean, that's two Gravitic Fluxes that Doge has had. Both of them just get nothing because of the accretions from Ice. These the second time that that's happened, and Wisp, I mean, it looked so scary for them on that first couple of defenses that they had from Amplify, but Amplify now is just falling apart at the seams, and Wisp have 2 minutes to continue to push forward and potentially cap.
Tap, though, defensively, getting rid of Magic Mateball is key with these 2 minutes left. Still obtaining this high ground. Icy going to be here to chip away at the health value, growing near that Flux for the time being. Oh, with the Discord Orb. Oh my goodness, are they going to try and get the Ricochet off the side? PGE's got to fall back here. Now Flux down below, leaving him vulnerable, but has the kinetic grasp. Doge gonna get the coverage from the Transcendence. They've actually gotten rid of that, which is massive for Wisp to now play forward, but Chopper still coming back from spawn. The Dragon Strike from Tap. They're really starting to hold right before these final meters.
Yeah, very expensive fight, though, for Amplify throughout all of it. They have to use basically every single ultimate. Luckily, there's only a minute left, so by the time we get to this next fight, it's going to be last fight, especially if they can stagger out Icy here. But actually, Ant Matrix is committed. Wisp doesn't... it's happened again! Amplify just goes in, and they just get completely just Uno reverse carded, and now they have to retreat.
55 seconds. This looks a lot more favorable now for Wisp. Able to gain the space. The overclock is active. Amplify finally back at full strength coming out of spawn, but still disjointed in their positioning. The overclock goes for Tap, but Tap just says, I ain't staking up here, and they find the angle onto Buddy, but there's an immortality field at least forced out. Power Boost gets picked up by Chopper from the crossfire. Dropping down below, Sunjun looks for the shots onto PGE, who has a sliver of health remaining. The infra is available. Can they find the elimination? The supports are keeping him going. The health values are so critically low here for Amplify. They're just playing by the skin of their teeth to keep them alive in these 15 seconds. PGE and Tap, despite them being low, are actually holding on. PGE gets rushed down the center. Buddy getting chipped away again as the flanking angle. Power Boost gets the counterplay onto Sunjun. And the overtime is not going to proc. No one is here, and Wisp unfortunately cannot complete the round.
They do get those 2 points and basically like get all the way to third, which I think they're like probably counting their lucky stars that happened because PG was on one. I mean, PG, I can't imagine what this defense looks like if PG isn't just popping off. Even in that last fight, PG was able to get 2 huge picks that completely turned that fight around. So I mean, they got to be thanking their lucky stars that PG played as well as he did, because it could have looked way worse for them. And they probably would have gotten capped, but just a couple of times where Amplify has this advantage, they like want to go super aggressive, but Wisp is just so good at playing from these kind of quote-unquote deficits that every single time they would just throw down a new reverse card and say, hey, guess what? You're not winning this fight.
Yeah. And we'll see if they're able to reel it in on this attack, be able to just find moments that are going to allow them to take the advantage. Because even here, Sunjun goes in hyper-aggressive, can't quite land the second follow-up onto the supports because realistically, Power Boost is there to give them coverage. So all in all, at this point, Wisp on the defense has a chance to deny this going into an extra map. Amplified has to put everything they have into this and once again rely a lot, I think, on PGE and Tap to find these initial pickups. But Chopper is not going to stick with the Sojourn coming out that we had from Sunjun, and they're both going to opt into the Widow and this Hanzo, as we saw already from Amplify.
Yeah, and I like this, especially on the defensive end, where like on the Hanzo, you have a lot more of like that room to set up in the back line. Sojourn, it's a little bit more difficult to kind of find those angles to work with. On the defensive end, because you kind of just have to sit in one area and be a little bit closer to the enemy team, but you don't really want that. As Chopper gets a nice pick to start things off onto Buddy, but Amplify still posturing here, trying to hold this space. They don't want to give it all up because those sight lines are so important to work with here.
And PGE, oh no, was really utilizing that payload to kind of narrow the sight line, but unfortunately gets taken down. Icy collapsed onto Tap, and now we do see them again get rid of this first minute off the clock, feeling dominant and confident around this corner, and they're going to continue to try and put pressure, even almost going for a couple of shots on the PGE from spawn.
Yeah, trying to find that one grade A mahogany log there, see if they can find a way to take down PG before he can even get out of spawn, but we'll eventually start retreating back over here. But you're right, a minute has been taken off the clock already, and with kind of how slow these compositions work, I mean, that's a great thing to do, to be able to hold at this point of the map. And you can see now Amplify taking back control of this point, and those sight lines are going to be a little bit easier for PG and Tap to work with.
And you can see Icy being very reserved in how they're utilizing the shield to make sure that they are blocking so the counter pick doesn't come in by PGE. Not wanting to overcommit it so they lose it and have to wait for it to regenerate. Up top though, both Tap and PGE. Sunjun gets the shutdown here after we already saw Chopper do the same previously, and Amplify once again being held on this corner because Tap can't really do anything either with Sunjun.
Yeah, I think now like having Sunjun on the Sojourn, like probably very good and was doing a lot of damage, but just having Sunjun to be able to match those sight lines and help dealing with PGE with Chopper, I think has helped a ton with how WISP have been playing this defense, because of the fact that now PGE just has to worry about not only one person on the other end, the other Widowmaker, but has to worry about Sunjun. And you can see Tap has just said, screw it, I'm not going for the Hanzo battle. I just need to put more pressure onto those backline members, potentially offer a little bit more spam, because we are not winning the sniper battle.
I mean, the challenge is that there's 5 ultimates about to be online for WISP with 1 minute and 30 seconds. So if they cycle this effectively, they're going to be in a prime position to be able to hold before this initial point. Peek in the corner, goes to the accretion. Nice sidestep, though, from Doge. Flux active, gets the pickup onto 1. Doesn't quite get the support, so the Immortality Field is there to buy some extra time. Aggression forward with the Kinetic Grasp. They're stuck into the small room with the Dragon Strike, with beautiful timing on the Transcendence, but unfortunately it can't keep Power Boost alive. Buddy and Doge extremely low, and they are brought down once again.
Yeah, I mean, Sunjun is going absolutely bonkers. That entire fight that we were watching from the POV of Icy, you could see in the background that PG and Tap tried to duel with Sunjun, and both of them lost. Sunjun just 1v2'd the DPS line, and after that, I mean, there's no way for Amplify to get back into those fights, and with 45 seconds left, this is most likely last fight territory, and Amplify have to make wholesale swaps on their support line, and what are they going to really have besides the Gravitic Flux and maybe a Dragon Blade?
Yeah, this is the one last opportunity of a semblance. Oh, Chopper just gets out of it so they don't leave them vulnerable
Accretion
for the
again.
shot, and
He
it
does
denied.
it again.
3 times in total across this map. You have seen Doge be instantly denied with the heads-up play from Icy, reading it perfectly. Shots now from Chopper through the amplification matrix. You can see the dive coming in from Tap, and Chopper gets the dome. Unbelievable performance right now from WISP. They're drawing back because they have one last opportunity to deny this checkpoint from being reached, but PGE finds Neb. Are they going to be able to keep this a moment longer? Shots come in. PGE is low, and Sunjun on the Genji play with a swap from earlier is able to deny it. The overtime now looking dire here for Amplified. WISP able to hold the line and deny this. Well, Catmite with the blade able to pull this off, gets 2. They're gonna reposition forward.
They can win. This is winnable. With the rally, this is definitely winnable. They have to get back on point though. But Neb almost boops him off. It's traded back and forth. Chopper's here. It's just the Brig on cart. It's Chopper dueling. Oh no, okay. They got it. They did the squad Avengers United right in front of Chopper right there. But I mean, Amplify are luckily enough able to give themselves another lifeline here. 2.5 minutes to work with. I mean, very touch and go at the end there. Tap with a nice blade to kind of secure things. But I mean, this still looks very, very good for WISP, all things considered. And this is a very tough part of the map to go through.
We'll see how they handle it. Tap. Looking for Sunjun. The deflect is active, denying the shots, but Sunjun able to get topped up here by Neb, along with the Orb of Harmony to keep them healthy, and PGE gets the better end of Chopper this time, now that they've opened it up and have really given way because Tap is causing more of the harassment, drawing their attention elsewhere.
And it's also that Sunjun is no longer on the Hanzo, has opted in to go over to the Genji. Here comes the Dragon Blade.
Couple of shots denied. Sunjun with the deflect. Can't aggressively go out until they're topped up. PGE is in the sights. Couple of shurikens. Goes for the dash reset with the melee as well. And now goes for another reset on the back line. And instantly going to clean up here.
Sunjun is slicing and dicing, shrooving and grooving right now on this Genji. I mean, the Hanzo looked good, but this Genji looks absolutely incredible as well. And for Amplify, it's getting into dire straits for them. Not a lot to talk about in terms of those ultimates. Rally's going to be one. They need to find Transcendence here in time. These neutral picks are going to be so important, but they're going to be walking into sites from Chopper, and PG has their own, so I don't really know if they can... Both of these teams can really aggress right now, but Buddy goes down!
Full knowledge for both teams, and the early pickup comes in for WISP as a second falls close. Sunjun just going on a tirade right now in the back with a quad kill.
Yeah, just give us Sunjun POV, I think, for the rest of this game. Honestly, at this point, like, this has been an incredible performance on a variety of heroes for Sunjun, and Amplify, luckily enough for them, lose that fight quick enough to where they can come back into this fight with 4 key ultimates that are going to be big, but that Transcendence from Maypal, They need to find a way on Amplify side to get it out either for that Gravitic Flux or for the Dragon Blade.
Flux is active. The Accretion attempts to deny it, but unfortunately can't land. Blade is active. Sunjun, we've seen already be able to put on a performance. The rally is active, goes for the reposition with the dash up top to come back in. Rise and fall like a meteor from on high. Gets the pickup onto power boost. Everyone from WISP falls in suit, and this will be a 3-0 performance once again from WISP over Amplified. And what a stellar performance, to say the least.
Yeah, WISP really starting to heat up towards the back end of this round robin. A 3-0 last week, a 3-0 here against an Amplify team who had a lot of momentum going into this one. A fantastic performance from Sunjun. I mean, this Genji play, the Hanzo play too was absolutely cracked, but like this was just an amazing performance from Sunjun. I think as well, Icy deserves a ton of credit.
Yeah.
I don't think Doge hit a Gravitic Flux this entire map.
No.
Because they were always accretioned out by Icy, and that was something I talked about going into this series, was how is that matchup between Icy and between Doge, who's maybe not necessarily as prolific on something like a Sigma, how is that matchup going to go? And there we really saw kind of like how it is to be an incredibly talented and well-versed Sigma player to one who's just kind of like not played it as much throughout the history of Overwatch being a game.
And again, it's just that awareness, because you could see it where accretions were used more lucratively, more often from Icy, and then held because of just tracking the opponent's Gravitic Flux every time and reading the play so effectively. In addition, I also think it's the Genji sweater buff that helps out for Sunjun on that play, since they do have the
Wait, is it streetwear
skin.
Genji? I actually couldn't tell.
I'm pretty sure
okay.
it was the sweater. I'm almost 100% sure. I'm wearing a sweater. He's wearing a sweater. We're all gonna have fun wearing a sweater. But yes, so we do have.
I'm not. It's too hot.
I know,
There's
right?
no way.
Normally I would say the same thing, but it's a little chilly here in my basement as I'm surrounded by concrete. But with that being said, we are going to head to a short break here, where we are going to be able to have an opportunity of speaking with, it looks like, Neb coming out here from WISP. So don't go anywhere, friends. We'll be back in just a moment.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. Go bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
We're back, friends, with a lovely opportunity to speak with an amazing individual at which that Kenobi and I have known for quite some time amongst the collegiate scene, but also just now amongst contenders. Neb, how you doing, my friend? It's been a while. I think the last time we got to see you in person was back at like HughFest, wasn't it? It was a while ago.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was a while ago.
Yeah, we got that picture with me and you, and then we had Tents at a photo bomb. That's a great.
That's right.
Yes, we did.
That's right. That's right.
I remember that one. But so I mean, today seemed to be a good day for you. Light work that we talked about. 6-0 on the day, beating two, I think, pretty good teams. Specifically, beating Pip on that 3-0, and then now 3-0ing Amplify. Can you walk me through a little bit about that first one? Because Pip was at the time the number 1 seed, and you're coming in for Squid, who I guess couldn't play, but like. Walk us through a little bit about that first one, because I want to know what your thoughts were since we didn't see that one on broadcast.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Squid has COVID. I found out about 30 minutes before today that I was playing. So we were going against Pip, who was number 1 seed. We'd just beaten 0-3 Splash, which was number 1 seed the week before, 3-0. So we came in, we were just confident, and then we ended up 3-0ing as well. So I think we're just the number 1 seed.
Yeah, breaking them down.
Number 1 seed killers.
Yeah.
Number 1 killers, absolutely. Well, I mean, again, we hope for swift recovery, at least for Squid, who is out, but that does give the opportunity for someone like you, who we watch for an extremely lengthy period of time, play as proficiently as you have been, and it's really nice to see that you going into that match and then carrying over the same type of strength here. Was there anything last minute with you? Again, you're scrimming, but you're coming in last minute. Like, do you ever have like a mindset when things get shifted around that quickly due to just random occasions like this where Squid couldn't fill in?
I mean, with WISP, I've been thrown onto main support and flex support just randomly in scrims all the time, whether it be Maple working as a lifeguard or like Squid randomly not being able to show up. I've just been thrown in there, so I like to be adaptable, and I think on match day, no matter what, I'm able to step up.
Okay, so walk me through a little bit about this matchup in particular. We saw a lot of this dive with like the Winston and stuff like that. Then you go over to Circuit Royale, and it's kind of just a wash. It feels like for a lot of the time when it's like between like your team on Wisp and like having this 3-headed dragon, I'll call it, with like Rocket, Sunjun, and Chopper. I feel like there would be a lot of confidence in your team that there's not really a DPS style that like wouldn't fit your team, because you have this like very in-depth roster and this like trio of DPS. Do you have a lot of? I imagine the confidence is pretty high playing with players like that on the on the front lines.
Oh yeah, I mean, we love to like swap each one in just because they all have that little flexibility or like style that they produce. Like Rocket on the Echo with Sunjun Tracer, that's a really good mix-up. And then we have our 2 Koreans on Circuit, and a SIG player and 2 flex supports. That's what Mapo was joking about before the match started. And teams keep taking us to Circuit. So whatever DPS we have in, we have 100% confidence in.
So I'm just curious because, again, Kenobi mentions the 3 of them that they're so lucratively able to swap out. What's like the communication with them just outside of competitive play? Like, do they have just this really just well-developed relationship between the 3 of them, knowing how they can just interchange with each other for your compositions?
Yeah, I mean, we joke about Sunjun being Chopper's son. Really, we're trying to slowly teach Sunjun some English because he doesn't speak it like fully. It's a second language. Mm-hmm. So over time, he's getting a lot better at English, and then I think that's really fun seeing him learn more and more.
Okay, so it helps with the comms a little bit, which is good to see. I mean, I think between a lot of you and like the matches we've seen where you've taken down the first seed or like the first seed killers that you are, it feels like the communication is like relatively good between you guys in terms of like when you're executing dives, being able to peel for the backline. Is that something you guys are actively working on a lot of the time? Because it does feel like, even though there is like potentially like a language barrier when Sunjun is in, or you're just like stepping in randomly, or not randomly I should say, but like you're stepping in 30 minutes before the games are supposed to start, it feels like beats aren't really missed when it's like I've watched you play against like this version of Wisp where you have you're in, Sunjun is in, and then the other version where like Squid is in. Is it something that you guys like realistically are trying to work on to like make sure that no matter what happens with this very deep roster that you have, the communication always stays to like the best level it could be?
Yeah, we've talked about making sure no matter what that we're all on the same page. Whether no matter what ult we use, we have to get some value out of it. So that's what we've really been harping on. And I think today it was good except for one fight on circuit. But after that, we stepped it up and we got back into the rhythm. I think it's just about making sure we're all together and one person each fight does that.
Yeah, the rhythm is definitely something that we can see, and we're really looking forward to how that continues on again as we approach the guarantee of moving into playoffs. You've continued to solidify that you are a very, very well-rounded team, one to be fearful of, since you have that potential of taking down any one of these that we see in the upper portion of the seed selection. Like you said, the number 1 seed killers. Maybe you can continue to do that moving forward, and we greatly appreciate the time to chit-chat with you, Neb. It's been awesome. It's been a while since we've had the chance to chat with you, but it's always a good time, my friend. Hopefully we can get to see you in person again sometime soon.
Yeah, always a pleasure talking to you too.
All right, take care, my friend.
Thanks, Neb.
Oh, Kenobi. So yes, the number 1. We're going to put that in like big bold letters, like number 1 seed
Number
killer.
1 seed killer. I mean, they've done it. They've done it twice. So I mean, I don't think they can do it with what I'm looking at in terms of the bracket, like again, because they'd have to play O3 Splash, but they've already taken them down.
They already did it, yeah.
And they took
I
out
would
Pirates
say
of
that
Pajamas, so you know they're feeling definitely really good, especially like the way that they've done it. Right, I think that's the biggest thing to me is that they 3-0'd them both, and this is again a team that's like made a lot of changes. Last season, I'll say, in spring series they were like number 1 seed and then got bounced out of the tournament pretty unceremoniously in like 5th and 6th and made some changes, got some new members in, and they're looking really clean. I mean, again, this is a team that I'm not sure that I want to see in the bracket with how good that they're playing. The DPS trio seems to be firing on all cylinders really, really significantly. This meta and map pool feels like it's almost built for them. And there's not really like a weakness I could see besides like maybe something that Neb was talking about where it's like there are some ultimate like mishaps that happen from time to time, but beyond that, I mean, it looks like a really well-oiled machine.
And if that's really the one thing that you're looking to continue refining, there is more than enough time to be able to fix that going into playoffs if they can solidify that position. And I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to get to see the standings here to see where that finally is. We get to take a look at what the schedule looked like for today. For those that might be coming in a little bit later towards this tail end of the broadcast, it was a 3-1 O3 Splash victory, as we did just conclude with a 3-0 win for WISP over Amplify, who just unfortunately could not muster up the strength to be able to pull back into this, and WISP really putting on a show as we can now take a look at the standings that is fully updated, Kenobi.
Yeah, I think there are some matches that haven't been confirmed just yet. There, like, I think that we're waiting on a couple because that map was so quick that there are some matches that haven't played out yet, but the biggest thing is the movement that I'm seeing, right? That there's a lot of movement in this like top area, right? Where Saints like go to 2nd, WISP like go to 3rd. Pirates of Pajamas started the day off in the 1st seed. Now are down to 4th seed. Afterlife, who was like earlier in the season, like really struggling towards like 9th, is like 9th and 8th is like 5th now. Amplify gets to stay, you know, towards that 7th spot. Rift is climbed up. I think last week when we left Rift was in like 11th or 10th or something like that. And now they're fighting with Timeless for that 8th spot. They both, I think still have to play games. Strix has fallen off significantly. I remember seeing them and being very impressed with them. Now potentially not even making it into that 8th spot in the playoffs. So a lot of movement throughout a lot of these group stages. And I think the only team that's confirmed to be in playoffs right now mathematically is O3 Splash.
Yeah, and we actually do have tomorrow's schedule, and with all the names that we just talked about and how the movement is happening, this first game is going to be really, really well. I mean, realistically, technically both of them. I mean, among others that are going to be off broadcast, but still, like, there's so many things that can happen that for those wondering who's actually going to be able to guarantee the slot, you have to tune in tomorrow at that first match starting at 5 p.m. PDT.
I mean, for Timeless and Rift, it's literally both must-wins for them. They have to win these. Timeless needs to win this because they're hovering at 8th right now. And I think both Timeless and Rift are 3 and 6 before the games that are, we don't necessarily have the updated info yet, but like depending on, I think regardless of what happens in both those matchups, these are must-wins for both these teams. Dragon Dance is unfortunately out of the tournament, but they can still play spoiler against Rift, and Good Boys are a pretty decent team in and of their own right. So for Timeless and Rift, it's all to play for tomorrow in NA.
And with the discussion of NA, we cannot forget about EU, as we do have both Twisted Minds and Ex Oblivione going at it at the start. Again, Twisted Minds as we continue.
Be such a good one.
It really is. Yeah, it's going to be a really good one. Then we finish it off with tomorrow. Again, morning for us here on the US side, but again, that is going to be 6 p.m. CEST for the start, as Aw Yeah and SR Peak Check will be the second match to be watching out for.
These are both bangers.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to look at the standings.
Yeah, we're going to look at the standings.
It is the top 4.
1 versus 2 and then 3 versus 4. I mean, this is a great aperitif for like what we're going to be seeing in playoffs most likely. This is probably the teams that are going to be making it pretty far into the tournament. I think it's still very hard for me to bet against Twisted Minds being 10-0, having only lost a singular map throughout the entirety of the round robin so far. So, like, this team is incredibly talented. Ex Oblivione is, like, close, I think, but I think tomorrow will be a great indicator of, like, how big that gap actually is between Twisted Minds and everyone else.
And then in addition to not only understanding the gap, it's going to find out what the specific weaknesses are that they can change and adapt because of the time that they have from this round robin stage into the playoffs. So there's a lot of things that can be developed and learned from this. And overall, it has been a great day for Overwatch. We've got some more tomorrow, which you're not going to want to miss out. It has been a pleasure for us today, all of us on the production end of it. Thank you for coming in to support, as we do have that final round robin day tomorrow. So we hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Take care, happy gaming, and we'll see you then, friends.
Oh, hello, fancy meeting you here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife for your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.